Okay, so there is a quite detailed homework task that goes with this piece of work that you've done today in class, which is an analysis of genuine Formula One data from the various circuits, Grand Prix circuits around the world. So you have their completion time in hours, you have the distance in kilometers, you have the number of laps that each race takes, and you have a fastest lap time, but in minutes and seconds. Okay, so it's quite important if we look at this little reminder up here that we remember that in a kilometer there are 1,000 meters. You should know all these bits and pieces. There are 60 minutes in an hour, and there are 60 seconds in a minute. Pretty obvious, but easy to forget when you're trying to do these questions. Okay, so what we are asked, if we flip over the page, is to find out the overall race speed and the fastest lap speed. Okay, both in meters per second. So what we should find is that this speed here is lower than this speed here. Okay, and then we're going to rank the fastest to the slowest overall race speed and the fastest to the slowest lap speeds. Okay, so they actually put a line down the middle of this final column so you can do two rankings. Okay, because it's not necessarily the same. The fastest lap is not necessarily the fastest overall race. Okay, so if we look at Australia, we've got numbers that actually aren't in the table. It's a bit weird, and it's because we want to work these answers out in meters per second. So the first thing you have to do is to convert your hours and minutes and your minutes and seconds into seconds overall. Okay, and we're also going to convert our distance in kilometers into meters, which is relatively easy. So this one here is the easiest to do. All we're going to do is all the way down the table add 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, and that turns our kilometers into meters. So if you do it in a different color like that, then it's very clear that those 3 zeros is the kilometers into meters conversion. Okay, now let's look at the easier one of the two in terms of time, which is the fastest lap. So minutes and seconds into seconds overall is relatively simple because we know that there is 60 seconds in 1 minute. So our 1 minute is worth 60 seconds. So each one of these is simply 60 plus, quite often, the seconds after it. So that would be 60, 70, 80, 90, 89 seconds. So this is equivalent to 89 seconds. Okay. And the next one would be equivalent to our 1 minute, which is 60 plus 35. So 60 plus 35 is 95 seconds. So that one would be 95 seconds. So if you want to, you can add this information into your table just in small writing. Or if you want to, you can do it on the next table in your calculations. Okay. Now, the more challenging one is converting your hours and minutes into seconds overall. So 1 hour is how many seconds? Well, there are 60 minutes in an hour, and for every minute you have another 60 seconds. So that means you have 60 times 60, which is 3,600. So we have 3,600 plus 48 times 60, 48 times 60. And that tells us the number of seconds it took to complete the Australian Grand Prix. And that equals 6,480 seconds. Okay, so over here we have our 6,480 seconds divided into our 308 kilometers times our 1,000 to turn into meters. So our answer is 47.5 meters per second. Okay, so if you're familiar with running the 100-meter sprint, that means your F1 cars are doing your 100-meter sprint in 2 seconds, pretty much, nearly 50 meters in a second. The fastest lap time was 89 seconds for the Australian Grand Prix. each lap, where did this 5,310 come from? The individual lap distance comes from this distance divided by 58 laps. So if the total race is 308 kilometers or 308,000 meters, and that covers 58 laps, then one lap is this number divided by that number. So that's just a simple division here of 5,310 meters. Okay, so that's where that number comes from in the second calculation here. Okay, and that means that the fastest lap speed is nearly 60 meters a second, so significantly higher. That's quite a percentage increase. Okay, so if you do that for all the different Grand Prix circuits, it's quite a lot of number crunching. You'll then see the fastest circuit, and you'll see the slowest circuit, and you'll see the fastest lap time and the slowest lap times. And then you can rank them. Okay, so everybody should get the same rank if they do the same maths. Good luck.